Anglican choir spouse. Yeah, so great answer, Joel. So the difference between killing and murder is the unlawful taking of a life. And why do you think, what is Genesis 9:6? You guys remember Genesis 9, the Noahic covenant? Remember after the flood, God makes a covenant with Noah, which actually is going to be one of the readings for next week. And he says, and for your lifeblood I will require a reckoning. From every beast I will require it from man. From his fellow man I will require a reckoning for the life of man. In other words, if you take a life as a man, then your life is going to be taken. And then he says in verse 6, whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made man in his own image. Why is God so concerned, and why is the penalty so severe for killing a person, murdering a person? And what does that mean? What does that say about the image bearer?
Competitions answer to you.
It's completely contrary to the will of God to hate and to kill.
Right. That's a great point. So, number one, if God made you, then how high is your value? Or what value are you?
Eternal.
Yeah, and a great value. Of the highest value to God. Because we're the only thing that He makes in His image. He doesn't make anything else in His image. He makes you and human being in His image. And to almost point, to take the image and to destroy the image, if you think about it, is to really destroy God Himself, is it not? Is it not an act of violence against the very maker of the image? And it's the exact opposite of the divine life of God. What does God do? God does nothing but create life. God is life. And so to murder and to take life is the anti-Christ, the anti-God thing. That is the highest thing you can do as an affront to God. Would you agree with that? This is why abortion is so horrible on so many levels. I mean, just think of it. Not only just the issue of a defenseless child, but you put the image of God upon that and the innocency of that child, and you lay those types of things on top of that. It's such an affront to God. I mean, it's just awful.
Would taking one's own life?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So in sorrow and despair, it's probably very hard for people to understand. People take their own life, and it's similar. It's similar because we're basically bringing to end something that God has created, and God is the one who determines the days of each thing He's made. Right? He counts the number of hairs and knows the days. So in a lot of ways, we're usurping God's creative power. We're destroying that which He made, which He loves. Can't take that out of the equation. God hates nothing that He's made, even though a lot of people think He does. He doesn't. So yeah, suicide's a tough one. And there have been times in the church that people would think that suicide is the unpardonable sin. Of course, we know what the unpardonable sin is, and we know it's not suicide based on Scripture. It's very sad state. Suicide. Yeah, that's a good one. Anything else on that?
Socrates comes to the conclusion that suicide is wrong for one of either two reasons.
Yeah.
The first he gives as isn't the Christian answer is that our life is a prison and taking our life is to unlock the door and let ourselves out. And the second, which I think is one of the Christian answer, is that we are not property of ourselves.
That's right. That's right. It's squatters' rights. We are not ours. We are the sheep of His hand. Right? That's a great point. So Jesus, what about this idea in Matthew 5 in the Sermon on the Mount? Jesus says that if you have unjust anger towards your brother, you murder in your heart. How does that sit with us? What does that mean? Alma?
I'm sorry, I just always say Jimmy Carter. Well, of course, thoughts come to you that you need to pray about immediately when they come to you. And I think that comes down to the basic forgiveness that God has for us.
Right.
Immediate forgiveness.
Yeah, and I think what's important is unjust anger. But we're in our rights when we're angry over the right things.
Boy, I could kill that guy.
I know, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I mean.
And you may be justified.
I know.
Right? It's when our anger isn't justified. Again, it's the same thing as the unjust taking of life. So very important. And which begs the question: is anger always sinful, or can it be just? And this is number 305 on the first page.
Well, I think the anger is just against those who want permission.
What's that?
I think your anger is just against abortion.
Sure.
Against those who perform the
Right.
I think that's a just anger.
Or against ISIS, people that
Yes.
cut the kids off.
Yeah. Any injustice, right? I mean, righteous anger. I mean, of course, we see the Lord angry several times. You know, he didn't sin in his anger. Our issue is that we have the proclivity to sin in everything we do. So we have to really check ourselves. You know.
And I think maybe the key here is to not act in anger. You have the anger, it is just a prayerful condition that you get into immediately allows you maybe to do some good with the anger that you had. But
Right.
acting in
Sure.
anger is probably not.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but whenever emotions are high, any emotions, it's usually not a good time
Right.
to do anything major.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have 305? Do you have the catechism numbers on this page? Okay. So I'm gonna read this and you guys read the answer. Is your anger always sinful, or can it be just? Anger can be just if I am motivated not by fear, pride, or revenge, but purely by love for God's honor and my neighbor's well-being. More often than not, however, human anger is sinful. So, there you go. That's kind of what we're talking about. And we've already talked about, is it always wrong to harm or kill? No. I mean, we defend our lives. And unfortunately, sometimes that means taking another life. Sometimes we're called under our governments to serve in our government capacities where we are put in positions where we have to take life. Romans 13 speaks to this. There's a good passage citation there for 307. So, you know, we have to be thoughtful in how we apply this commandment. Let's talk about the seventh commandment. Okay, number 309. What is the seventh commandment? The seventh commandment is, you shall not commit adultery. So what does it mean not to commit adultery? So read the answer in 310. Marriage is holy. Married persons are to be faithful to their spouses as long as they both shall live. So I must not engage in sexual activity with anyone other than my spouse. Now, why does that matter? Why is God concerned about the physical intimacy that possibly occurs between two unmarried people?
Because they become one.
What's that?
Because they become one.
Okay, so because there's something more that goes on when people come together physically than just physical. Souls intermingle. And as Anglicans, we understand, we have a metaphysic that understands the physical and the unseen and the spiritual that exist together. We understand that in the communion, the Eucharist. That also means that when people come together, we're more than bodies, right? We're bodies and we have souls, and we have wills and minds. Those things also intermingle. So when you do something that is not supposed to happen under God's plan, there's effects from that can be very damaging to people. So that's a very, very good point. What is marriage covenant supposed to signify? What is the point of a man and a woman entering into a marriage covenant and staying true to each other? Go ahead. You've been studying this, so. What is it?
God is people,
That's right.
like God in Israel and Jesus in the church.
That's right. Remember we talked the last time we met. We talked about God marrying Israel. Remember that the Ten Commandments were given to govern their marriage. Nuptial language. It's a nuptial contract. So when we're faithful to each other, when God brings us together as one, it's a picture of us remaining faithful to God and to us. Right? So covenant is very, very important to God. Breaking covenant has very, very dire consequences. This is what apostasy is. When you choose to stop believing in Christ and you leave His church, you've broken the covenant. You've decided to leave the husband. God hasn't left you. You have become unfaithful, and you have decided to leave God and worship other gods. Right? So not only is the marriage covenant and the bed to be kept pure because physically and psychologically it's important, but because God knows that if you can stay faithful to your marriage, then you can stay faithful to God. When people stop being faithful to God in their marriage, it's just a matter of time before the marriage then becomes unfaithful. Those two things are interconnected. That's why a husband and wife are one, and they're in participation with God. There's a direct relationship between God and the married family. And when either one of those are off, the other's at risk. So, any questions on that or thoughts?
My thought, and that is during the marriage ceremony, you're sworn before God to your intended spouse, or spouses that are there, that you will be faithful.
That's right.
And so you're breaking that covenant with God if you do something like that.
And you swear that in front of the church.
Yes.
So you're held to account.
Whether it's in the church or
That's
out
right.
here in the pastor, I mean, you're still.
That's right.
It's before God.
That's right. You make your covenant vow within the people of God, and we're supposed to hold each other accountable to that. And as a pastor, I'm supposed to keep families together. I'm supposed to bring people together in marriage, and God calls it marriage, and we're supposed to keep it that way.
Sometimes that's impossible.
Well, sure. It is impossible because this is not perfect. The world is broken. But very important. I wanted to say number 311. Let's read 311 together. Why does God ordain marriage? God ordains marriage for three important purposes: for the procreation of children to be brought up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, for a remedy against sin, to avoid fornication, and for mutual friendship, help, and comfort, both in prosperity and adversity. Okay? Marriage is a holistic sacrament that nurtures and provides health to both the husband and the wife. Healthy parents raise healthy children. That's not perfect either. But imperfect families work. Because there is no perfect family, okay? So, the main thing is that we take our vows seriously. Our baptismal vows, our confirmation vows, our wedding vows, all of our vows. Okay? All right. Moving on. The 8th commandment. This is on page 28. I can't believe there's 32 pages there. The 8th commandment, number 318. What is the 8th commandment? The 8th commandment is you shall not steal. All right. This seems pretty straightforward. Okay? Now, why is it that God prohibits us from? What's the problem with stealing? Is it the same as taking? That's how AJ used to get away with it. I just took your dollar. No, you stole my dollar. Well, what's the problem with stealing? I mean, if you need it, why not just take it?
You take something that doesn't belong to you.
Yes. Number one. Okay, so again, what is the law? The second table of the law is directed to what? These laws are directed to whom?
God.
No.
Wait, the second
Second.
one is evil.
That's right. So remember, what is the definition of love? The definition of love is love always seeks the highest good of the one that it is loving. It always is conscious of if I'm doing this, is it the best thing possible I can do for that person? Is this the best loving thing to do? And that's the easy filter to think about all these choices that we make every day as Christians. Like, if I take Bob's, wallet because I need to go buy a hamburger, is that really the best thing for Bob? Because Bob may be hungry too. When he goes to eat his hamburger, he won't have any money and he'll have to call Bella.
Or wash dishes.
Right. But there's lots of ways that we steal from people. And this is what I love this about this catechism and what it talks about. So let's talk about, where's it at? Here, number 322. All right, let's read this together. 322. What things other than property can you steal? I can steal reputation, wages and honor, credit, answers and inventions, friendship, hope, and goodwill from others. I must repay, and to the best of my ability, restore what I have stolen. Okay? What is the remedy for having stolen from somebody?
Restoring your money stolen.
That's right. Restitution. Restitution and asking for forgiveness. So just think about it. If you really thought about it, there's a lot of things that we try to take from others that is more than just material possessions. And as you get older, some of you, those things become more and more because you're trying to gain things and you're trying to maybe ascend ladders and you're trying to accomplish. You're wanting people to like you in certain ways. There's all kinds of things that you're going to be tempted with to steal from others. And at the end of the day, you have to pray for the spirit and grace of contentedness. We must be thankful and happy for what God has given us, whether it's talent. You may not be able to sing, but you may know how to pray. We shouldn't envy and try to steal from those who have something we don't. We need to learn to be thankful for what God's given us and then maximize what and how He's made you to be. No one has every perfect gift. And we're never going to have everything that we want. Right? So really at the heart of this is learning the spirit of contentedness and what God has given and being thankful for it. Anything to say on that? Anybody? There's a wonderful song that's slipping my mind right now, the number, but there's a song, a line in the song that says, the psalmist is saying, it says, that which I did not steal, I must repay. And what it's talking about is, I was the person that had to make restitution, even though I wasn't the person who stole it. And that line is attributed to Christ. Just think about it. He came to repay that which was stolen. And I can't remember the number of the song, but it's such a wonderful. So that's the heart of stealing is the gospel. That which I did not steal, I must repay. That's Christ. He does that even though he never stole a thing in his life. And that's a beautiful idea. Okay. Ninth commandment, shall we? 325. Charlie, are you ready? What is the ninth commandment? The ninth commandment is, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. 326. What does it mean not to bear false witness? It means that I am to love God and my neighbor by speaking truthfully and graciously at all times, and by keeping my tongue from lying, slander, or gossip. What does St. James say about the tongue? Do you remember? He says that it's like a ship's rudder. Even though it's the smallest part of the ship, it has the power to steer that thing in any direction. And he says it's like a fire. It lights a fire that just enrages the forest. So who has a particular issue with opening their mouth and sinning? That the mouth, out of the mouth, comes forth the things of the heart. Okay? It's the biggest problem we have. I mean, the mind, the will, but the mouth is typically the first place that gives evidence of us being wretched, miserable offenders. So we have to learn to tame the tongue. And what does it talk about here in the Catechism? They say, lying, okay, even little lies, half-truths, slander. What does it mean to slander someone? Abigail? What does it mean to slander?
Telling untruth.
Huh?
Telling untruth about it.
Yeah, saying something false about him,
Yeah.
you know? Like saying Charlie's ugly. That's slander. Because he's not ugly. Slander and gossip. Anybody gossip? Anybody have a problem with gossip? Is that, or have had problems with gossip? That's an easy one in the church too.
Boy, can I tell a story about it?
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah, right. Gossip is a tough one, you know? We're so busy in the middle of everybody else's business. Your brothers ever act that way? They're in the business? No? You're like, my middle brother had to know everything and told my mom and dad everything.
I kind of like him this way.
Yeah, good. So all I'm saying at this point is, out of the mouth comes what's inside the heart, is what Jesus says.
And my grandmother, from the time I can remember, my grandmother always said, if you have nothing good to say nothing at all.
That's right.
They still like Shirley or something like that line.
Right.
You know what they say, if you have nothing good to say, come sit by me.
Oh, that's funny.
That's a needle point too.
So let's read 330, because I think this is good. Number 330, when, and the answer's on 330, or 31. When is it right to speak of your neighbor's sins? I am forbidden to gossip or slander, but I must speak the truth in love to my neighbor, report crimes, advocate for the helpless, and protect the community. Do you see the principle, again, seeking the good of the one beloved? So again, that's your test. Is this really going to be for Joel's good or for Jody's good? Am I really loving them and concerned about the outcome for them and what I'm about to do? Yeah, that's telling me that I probably need to do. Yeah, that's what I do. Thank you. But yeah, and you notice too that loving others has nothing to do with any of that love being directed back at yourself. It's a selfless love. It is wholly concerned with the object of love. And again, we have to look at Christ as the pattern and the example of that. That Christ's object of love is fallen humanity. And what does the eternal Son do as the act of divine love given to us in history and Scripture? Where does he leave? He leaves the riches of heaven. And he comes down, and the word is condescend. He makes himself low. He takes on suffering, all for us and for humanity. So he's the pattern. Right, Charlie?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's look at the 10th commandment. Hey, we can actually get through these today. The 10th commandment. All right, number 331. What is the 10th commandment? The 10th commandment is, you shall not covet. 332. What does it mean not to covet? I am not to let envy make me want what others have, but in humility should be content with what I have. Oh. So, everybody content with what they have? Come on, be honest. No. Don't you want some things? Is it okay to want things?
Yes.
Sure. Right. But what's the difference? What's the key word in that? And who can pick out the sin in number 332?
Envy, discontent.
Envy. Yeah, discontent. Envy. And what is envy? And why is envy a sin? That we are.
Who's happy?
Do you know? It's okay. Yeah, no, and that's perfectly fine because sometimes we don't. That's why it's important to talk about things. So envy is unholy desire. It's wanting something in a bad way. It's almost like lust, but it has this really, really, really bad tinge of jealousy to it. Because what happens with envy is it makes you hate the person that has it, but you don't. When you become envious, you not only become envious of the thing, but you become envious of the person that possesses it. And then it makes you turn into a twisted and terrible person. It's like Gollum in The Lord of the Rings with the ring. You know how he turned into that ugly guy? That's because he was consumed with envy and lust. And that's what he's supposed to picture. You know, he was a hobbit once. He was a normal person. But the desire, the unholy desire for the power that was in that ring made him twisted and ugly. So again, contentedness is so important. And faith. Because just because you don't have something yet, does that mean that God's never going to give it to you? No, you may not be prepared to handle the gift that God's giving you. So God is wise enough to know when to give you something and when not to. And there's probably a really good reason why we don't have some of the things that we desire. You ever know anybody that won the lottery or made a lot of money and their life just completely cratered? Or rock stars or famous people that get overcome by power and fame and it destroys their lives? It happens all the time. So you got to be careful for what you desire and trust in God actually having prohibited you having those things sometimes. It's probably His grace that we don't have all the things that we want, right? Yes. Okay, any comments on that?
So many.
So many.
There's a few.
So yeah, 334. All right, how is covetousness especially dangerous? Covetousness begins with discontent in mind and spirit, okay? And as it grows in the heart, it can lead to sins such as idolatry, adultery, theft. All right? That's why the New Testament, so much of it is talking about beware of covetousness. And you'll find in John's epistles especially that he connects covetousness with idolatry. Quite often, actually, in his writings. So the desire, the unholy desire for what I don't have will make you sin in a million ways if you don't watch it. Okay? All right. Any other questions or thoughts? Then let's read this last one and we'll conclude. 335. What should you do instead of coveting? I should think often of the inheritance that Jesus has prepared for me. Meditate upon His care for the birds of the air and the flowers of the field. Be generous with what God has entrusted to me, and help others to keep what is rightfully theirs. It's a pretty good answer. Okay. Well, next week we're going to continue. We're going to talk about sacraments, and then we're going to talk about church history, which will include also the history of the Reformed Episcopal Church. And then we'll get into spirituality, and then that'll be our last catechesis class in July. And then August will be no catechesis, so we have a break for the month. We'll just have services in the morning and coffee, and then no catechesis. And the choir will come back in September. So, anything?
So is the choir going on August?
No, we're going to have, because I'm going to let the students are going to be off and gone. Some of them start at different times. So we'll do set services in August. We'll have choir a couple times in July. But in August, it'll just be a set service without catechesis. So we'll start everyone for the hymns. And in September, everyone will burst out in song. They'll know all the parts, and the singing will be incredible. So, all right, well, let me pray for us, and then we'll go another day. Gracious God, we thank you for loving us enough to show us and to give us the laws and precepts to know how to love you and love one another. Thank you that you don't leave us to our own devices and ideas, but that you guide us into righteousness. We ask your Spirit also to lead us into the ways of Jesus Christ, form us into His image.